Hey, welcome back to Midweek Encouragement. Thanks for joining us here at First Church of God. Always glad to be with you. Hey, my little boy isn't so little anymore. He's at like 6'3", 6'4", and he's going to be 21 this fall. But when he was younger, and even to this day, he really got into Legos, building things, assembling things, and he was constantly building something new and letting his imagination go wild. So when he was little and there was times he needed to pick it up, talk about a task. It took forever for him to pick up his Legos. And I would get frustrated. You need to get on it. You need to get on it. So we would have this conflict. He was easily distracted in the process of picking up his Legos. Now, if you have ever stepped on a Lego barefooted, you know pain at another level than a lot of people know. I think it's one way that kids may use to protect themselves from their parents punishing them is they leave the Legos on the floor and the parents aren't going to walk across that nail bed of a floor because it hurts. Well, one day I get this brilliant idea to be able to help him pick up the Legos even faster. I went to the store and I bought him a dustpan. Now, instead of picking up one Lego, two Legos, or a handful of Legos, he's picking up multiple handfuls of Legos, all with one super scoop. I even taught him make a tractor sound, make the sound effects to make it a little bit more fun. Having the right tool for the job makes it easier and more fun for everybody involved. Now, there are times in our days that some tasks feel like we're picking up one piece at a time, and what we really need is a better tool. Many approach the day with an attitude of, I'll do it myself. When we will not accept help, there's a word for that. It's called pride. Pride is the opposite of humility. If we are too proud to ask God the Father for help, then we're just not powerful enough to do every job that is in front of us. Now, let me take a little side road here. Wimpy prayers are the devil's favorite type of prayers. When our prayer life is stuff that is just nothing for God, no challenge to God, Satan loves those. It's the, now I lay me down to sleep. It's the good Lord, good food, good meat, let's eat. Our prayers ought to be at a level that we believe, God, you're the only one that can do this. Because bold prayers honor God, and God honors bold prayers. If we will push aside pride, and we are willing to be humble, God can work through us. It's the one piece at the time versus the dustpan of Lego cleanup. Humility means thinking of others before ourselves. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6, it says, humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Jesus shared a parable about this with his friends when they asked him, why do you always speak in parables? And he said, it's so that people won't really understand. And we would think it would be the opposite. We would think he would give it in a parable so we would understand. But what we need to see is if we don't understand, it may not be for us. But if we do understand, it could be for us. Because sometimes the parables, they're going to go, oh, wow, that's for me. Other times, right over our head. So Luke chapter 18, verse 9, to some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told them this parable. Two men went up to the temple to pray. One of them a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you that I'm not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven. He beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I tell you the truth. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. I love the reverse economy of God. I think the ones who really need to hear this, it went over their head. Jesus shows us to come before him with a humble heart. Jesus' invitation is for us to come and say, I have a desperate need. Please help me. God values humility over pride, brokenness over self-righteousness, and a repentant heart over self-assurance. The Pharisees knew the law of Moses, he was consumed by his own righteousness, while this tax collector knew his brokenness and his need for mercy. So he humbles himself and he begs God for forgiveness. God's economy flips our human expectations. Despite his apparent religious achievements, the self-assured can't find favor with God. But the humble tax collector sees his unworthiness, and what does he find? God's grace, God's mercy, God's love. The parable calls us to look in the mirror and examine ourselves. Do we approach God with an attitude of self-sufficiency? We tell him of all the good that we've done? Or do we come to him at the end of our rope saying, I desperately need you and I need what only you can do? So God invites us to lay our pride aside, our self-righteousness aside, and come before him with open hands and humble hearts. In his economy, it is not the trophies and the plaques of achievements that impress him, but it's our willingness to say, I need you. If we want to grow in humility, it requires us to keep our hands open so that we can pick up and serve those who are hurting and hungry and naked and alone and feel unwanted. Jesus said, when you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me. I think we also need to keep our eyes on our own paper. Don't worry about what others are doing or how they're doing it. Keep your eyes up, not so high that your nose hairs show, but eyes up, looking for opportunities to serve in ways that may not be noticed by the crowds, but noticed by God and by the ones you bless. Jesus taught in Matthew 6, verse 1, watch out. Don't do your good deeds in public to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to someone in need, don't do so like the hypocrites do, blowing trumpets in the synagogue and streets to call attention to their acts of charity. I tell you the truth. They have received all the reward they will ever get. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father, who sees everything, will reward you. I've often said, bright lights don't need spotlights. Just go and be a bright light wherever God takes you today. Become an air freshener in the stinky places of the world by displaying how God has blessed you. Your car has a rearview mirror, and it's okay to look back, just don't stare. So as you look back in life, don't look at the squirrels, frogs, and other roadkill, but look at the goodness of God in your life. If God has been faithful in the past, you know he's going to do it again and again and again and again. And we'll see you next week.